Yo YouTube! This is my video for today. It is Friday the 31st of May and I'm just about on my way home, having had a really interesting and busy day, but it's gone a little bit pear-shaped at the end of the day, considering how it was going throughout most of the time I was working today. So let me tell you what happened. So I'll do my daily stats first. So based on my fuel costs of 15.09 pence per mile, today by the time I get home I will have driven for 327 miles, 327. I will have worked for 13 hours exactly, and I will have made £260, 260. That would be from 4 CX jobs. The cost of the fuel would be £49.34, which means I will have made after the fuel £211.211 today. It's now 5:10 and all the jobs have stopped pinging on the CX. And my first 3 jobs of the day went really smoothly, and it's the last one that really kind of, in hindsight, through no fault of anyone really, it probably would have been better for me not to have won the job, but you never know. So let's start off in the morning. I had a job booked in from yesterday going from Sleaford to Peterborough, and when I looked at it was a pickup between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock in the morning. It was for a long wheelbase van and it was 33 loaded miles, and I won that job yesterday quite early on in the day for £60, £60. And when I looked at the mileage to get to Sleaford, I was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't actually right in the town centre. It was my side of Sleaford. So it's only 12 dead miles to get to the pickup, about 20 minutes in total. So I left the house at just gone 7:30, and I arrived on site just before 8 o'clock. And I was loaded up with 2 pallets and some spare bits of metalwork handballed on. There was a little bit of a delay, but not much. It was pretty easy. All I did was move my van to another point, and then they managed to get everything on okay. A bit of delay with the paperwork, and then I was off. So and it's only going to Peterborough, so it wasn't very far. By the time I got to the drop-off point and offloaded, it was 9:30. So roughly speaking, it's a 2-hour trip from door to finishing. And I made my way from there to Peterborough Services off the A1, sort of on the junction with the 605 going to Oundle, and the A1M going north-south or south-north. And I got a call. So I put a bid on 3 jobs. I got a call at 9:40, so 10 minutes after I'd finished my first job, I got given the second job. And it was a really good job for me. I was half an hour away from the pickup. It was about 19 dead miles. It was Huntingdon to Birmingham. And it was part of my strategy was to sort of stay. Part of my thinking is to get myself to the West Midlands and then see if I can sort of get back from there at the end of the day, rather than going all the way to the northeast or Cornwall or London. It doesn't always work out, but today it seemed to be working out really well. So I got a job for a long wheelbase van, 85 loaded miles. I got that for £100, and I arrived at Huntingdon at about 10 past past 10, so exactly half an hour after I got the call, and I was loaded up with 2 pallets again, and by the time I left it was sort of 20 past 10, and I arrived at my drop-off location in Birmingham, actually quite close to Villa Park. It's like an industrial area close to there. It had sort of match day parking signs, and I didn't realise how, if you're from that area, I apologise, but that industrial area around there is really grotty. So there's tipped waste, on various corners. It just looked really run down and dodgy. But I got to that. I'm going to call it Aston. I saw a sign for Witton. It was B6. If you know the area, that's an industrial estate. That's B6. I think I would call it Witton. So I got there and eventually found the right place. I got delayed being offloaded. I don't know why. I suppose there's a reasonable number of lorries on site, but I checked in the office. They didn't bother taking my paperwork. They said go to the ramp. So I went straight to the ramp where the vans unload, parked up there, opened my doors, and then waited. And waited for a bit longer, and eventually a forklift driver came up to me and took the pallets off, but he wouldn't sign my paperwork. I had to wait for another 5 minutes before someone else came out and they signed my paperwork. It was sort of a bit weird, so a bit unnecessary, but in the grand scheme of things it wasn't a massive delay. So now it was 12 o'clock. I was really pleased. I'd made £160 so far, and my plan was to do a little mini job and then a job home. So I was hoping to get a job. Again, I've been on 3 jobs, and I got. Oh yes, sorry. The one from Huntingdon. When I got a call giving me that job, I had another call coming in at the same time, just after I picked up the phone, for another bid I put on. So I bid on 3 jobs and got effectively offered 2 of them. And the same thing happened when I was in Birmingham, but I did go a bit lower with my pricing. I thought my tactic today was to try and keep moving, keep doing work, so not to go too high with my pricing. So my 3rd job was a job that was going from Birmingham, from B6. I was really close to it. In the end, I was 3 minutes away from the pickup. I was 1 mile away from the pickup, and it was going to Worcester. And I had another Birmingham one going to somewhere like Warwick, and both of those jobs I put a £40 bid on. They were for small van work, both of them, and the one I got was 38 loaded miles, and I thought that getting to Worcester sort of after about an hour or so would be quite a good place to be for getting work. So I felt, although I picked up the first call, accepted it, then I got another call, so that happened to be the Worcester one that I got. So the call came through at 12:38. So about half an hour or so of bidding there, and I then I picked up the load, which was it was literally just an envelope, by 12:48, and then I made my way towards Worcester. And on the sat-nav it was about an hour or so, but I did get stuck in some traffic issues on the M5 and on the M6, well the M6 first of all, and then the M5. So by the time I got to the location, which was just a distribution centre, so it was quite easy to, once I found the right place, it was quite easy to go to reception and just hand over this envelope. But there was a bit of effort trying to find it. It shared a site with another company, and they weren't named the same as my envelope. But in the end, I got there, and 2:10 I was finally finished with that 3rd load. So again, that was £40. I was really pleased about that. And then I was looking for another job, and a job came up from Pershaw going to Cheltenham, and another one from Redditch going to Nottingham. The Redditch Nottingham one was multi-stops, it's 5 stops, and the Pershore to Cheltenham one was a little half an hour job. 35 minutes loaded. I thought, and that's the one I got. I put a bid on that of £50, 50. That was for a medium wheelbase van. I got the call at 2:20, so it was 10 minutes after I'd finished my third stop. So at this point, I was really pleased about how my day was going. It was for a medium wheelbase van, as I said, for I think it was about 40 miles, I think it was. And it was correct that. It was 5 dead miles to get to it, 10 minutes, and it was actually 19 loaded miles. So I put £50 on, 50. I was really pleased to get that. So I left for the depot I was picking up from at 2:30. That's when I got the. I arrived at 2:30 because I'd got the call at 2:20, and then I went round the depot on my system, and there was no obvious place for me to stop for a dispatch place. So I went back round to the front of the building, went to reception, and I rang the number, which basically put me through to another room in the office, and explained what I was there for. A lady came out. She went back in, got a gentleman. He told me to go around the building again and park up under the tunnel. So I did what he said, but I got round there again, and there was nowhere to park. There was lorries. There was a lorry there being loaded, and a van in the way, and another lorry being loaded up. So I just parked behind the lorry and hoped someone would come and help me. And then the guy that told me to go round the building came back out at the warehouse point and told me to go in front of the lorry. It all seemed at this point quite disorganised. The guy on the phone was really friendly, but when I got to the site, it was all a bit tense, I would say. And I don't know whether that was just because they were gruff working class men just getting on with the day, or whether it was just something I'd done or not done. Anyway, I got parked up and then opened my doors, and this was probably by this time it was probably about 20 to 3. And on the booking it said to collect the booking between 2 and 3. And actually, just another point of interest, the shipper that I was working for was actually the person I was collecting from. So the office was on site that I was at. So I waited and waited and waited. No one bothered to say anything to me or to come up to me as a forklift drivers. I stood in the back of the van for about 20 minutes, and then I went up to my cab and sat there. And then at about 3:05, so I'd been on site for 35 minutes, I called the guy in the office and said, "Is there a problem?" And he said there was. And the problem apparently was that the load I was taking was behind a load of other stuff, and apparently the forklift drivers were busy doing other things, loading other vans, so they weren't particularly keen on getting my stuff cleared. And I think some of the managers were then, I don't know if it's true or not, that's what I was told, the managers were clearing the stuff in front of my load so they could get me loaded. So I said to this point, I've been here for half an hour, unless I get loaded very quickly I'm going to start to go into waiting time. And he said, "That's fine, let me know when you finish." So I sat in my van and waited, and then at 3:15 I got this oversized pallet came over to me, which wouldn't fit on my van. So we just took the top layer of boxes off, put those handballs onto my van, and the rest of it was left on the pallets. So finally got that on there, and then I got myself. I said to the forklift driver, "Do you need paperwork?" And he said, "I've got to go to the office to get that." So I went to the office, walked to the office, and was completely ignored by everyone there until somebody finally sort of said, "Can I help?" And I explained that I was there for some paperwork, and then eventually the guy that was on the phone to me who gave me the job was sitting there, and he came and gave me the paperwork. I think it got off the printer just as I was asking for it. So I'd met the guy that gave me the job, and he explained to me. I said to him, "I'm probably going to want about 10 for this waiting time." And he said that wait till you get to the other end and then let us know how it goes, then we'll decide at the end of the day. So I made my way then towards Cheltenham. It's a farm outside of Cheltenham. It wasn't near the town. And my sat nav was saying about 37 minutes. And I left the depot at pretty much 3:30, pretty much. And I got about halfway to Cheltenham, and then I got stuck in some traffic on a very narrow lane. It was a lane, as in the countryside, but it was two-way, so traffic could pass both ways. And I was there for about half an hour, stuck in this traffic. Had a look on the maps. There was absolutely no other way to get to where I was going, and the traffic was kind of moving, like one car every 5 minutes was going forward. So obviously something was going on, but I had no idea what it was. So I called the ship at about, I can't remember exactly when, I would say probably about 3:45, and said I'm stuck in traffic, I don't know what's going on. And he explained to me that there'd been an accident outside of Evesham, and traffic, the road, the A46 had been closed. So at least I knew why it was so busy. And I said to him, I'm probably not going to be there till at least 4:30. According to my sat nav, it was 15 minutes, but it wasn't taking into account this lane that I was on not moving. So I knew once I got to the end of the lane onto the A46, I knew it was 15 minutes. But I had no way of knowing how long it was going to take. So time was ticking by, and this £50 job, which was good value at the start, started looking like it was a really bad idea. So eventually I did get out of this traffic and made my way to the farm, and by the time I got offloaded, I had to wait for 10 minutes to be offloaded. By the time that 10 minutes, 5:05. So I rang the shipper back, and he just said, I'll give you that tenner then. Didn't give me a chance to ask for any more. I really wanted to ask for 15, but I thought I can't bother with this. Tenner's fine. It was a 19-mile job, so in the end, £60 for it is probably okay. If I look at the times, then I arrived at 2:30, and I finished at 5. So it's not great money for 2.5 hours, but it's not a disaster. So 60 quid. But the problem with that, from my point of view, is that I missed any chance of getting another job. It was pretty unlikely, but if I'd been sort of offloaded at 4, or even 4 would have been a realistic chance for the original job. Even if I'd left at 3, I got there at 2:30. If I'd left at 3, still would have got to the drop place at 4 without any traffic problems. I mean, who knows? Maybe the delay at the depot meant that I got stuck in more traffic than I would have done otherwise. It might have been a lot quicker if I'd not been delayed at the depot. Anyway, so you can't change these things. I didn't know the area good. Well, looking at the maps, there was no alternative way of getting to where I was going to. I had to just sit where I was. So it's just the ups and downs of the job. And but even though that last job was a bit of a pain, it's still light. I'm on my way home now. I've made decent money for the day, and it has made me remember what this job can be like. My back isn't anywhere near as hurting as it was yesterday, and I made just as much money today as I would have done yesterday on multi drop, although it has been a longer day. Right, so I think what's left now is to tell you my weekly figures. These are a little bit inaccurate in some respects, because obviously Tuesday, if you did watch my video, I only did one £60 job after I dropped off my job from last Friday. So really, some of my money from last week should be for this week, and vice versa. Some of last week's money should be for this week. So last week's looked better than what it should have been, and this week looks a little bit worse than it should be. But we should go with the figures that I've got. So for 4 days' work this week, I have driven for 798 miles, 798. I would have worked for 45 3/4 hours. And I've earned £780, 780 gross. On fuel, I've spent £118.81, basically 119. That means I've earned £661 after fuel is taken into account. Per day, for my 4 days' work, I've earned £165 on average per day after fuel. And this figure's really good. And this is because of the multi-drop work. My average pence per mile earned this week is 82.86 after fuel's taken into account. So with fuel, that's nearly £1 a mile I've earned this week. But that's down to my 2 multi-drop days. It's a bit of an anomaly. And then finally, if you're interested, I've earned, if you take off from the 4 days working this week, £80 on average per day for my business costs, as I like an estimate, and then divide it by the number of hours I've worked, I've earned £7.46 per hour after expenses are taken into account. And again, if you were to exclude Tuesday, which was a bit of a one-off day, that'd be better, but I haven't done that in this occasion. Okay, I've got a job booked for Monday already. It's a small job, but it gets me started quite early. I was thinking about, in terms of sort of being more adaptable, I was thinking about perhaps looking at doing work at weekends. I probably won't do it this weekend. I do feel a little bit tired, but I think I need to. I'm look out for what jobs are available at least, and in the future I might start doing a bit of work at weekends, just to counteract the issues that I'm going through in terms of earning money. I'm not sure it's going to be a game changer, but it's a chance to perhaps just to put a bit more money in the pot while I can still work. It's not a final decision yet, because I do like the weekends, having that time off. It is good. So I probably won't do a lot, but I might just think of doing some work. Okay, thank you very much for listening to the video. I hope that you are successful, however you choose to define that word. And I'll see you next week. Farewell, friends.